So someone in my community the other day asked how they can get a lot of members to their Skool community fast. And the truth is, there are actually only 4 ways to grow your Skool community and get members into it. And today I'd like to talk about those 4 different ways. By the way, I'm Jason Flam. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of That Pickleball School and Savvy Basketball. Together, these schools earn about $90,000 a month in recurring revenue. We're also the number 1 and number 3 all-time earners in the sports category, and we've won the Skool games 6 times. In today's video, I'd like to talk about 4 ways you can actually grow your Skool community. And it's not about chasing tactics or doing the things that everyone says always works for them, whether it's ManyChat or TikTok or Instagram Reels or trial Reels. I just want you to get all of those things out of your mind. And instead of thinking in tactics, I want you to think in buckets, in categories. The first category or bucket that I want to talk about is organic content. One of the things about organic content is that this is the way to build trust long term. In my opinion, today, if you want a career in digital products and online community, you have to build organic content. It's no longer an option. You have to do it. But that doesn't mean you have to have 100 videos tomorrow. Instead, you want to think about building organic content consistently over time and that you're in it for the long game. Gary Vee used to say, whenever you start a YouTube page or a podcast or a blog, don't even look at your metrics for the first year because your numbers are going to be terrible. And what that's going to do is actually discourage you from making that content. And so when you think about organic content, this is your long-term trust building strategy. What is organic content? Organic content is content that you create and push out into the world that people can find without you paying to get it in front of them. This could be YouTube long form. It could be YouTube shorts. It could be TikTok. It could be Instagram. It could be blog post. It could be a podcast. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. There's a million things it could be. But the whole idea is that you will need an organic content channel. It's just a matter of how fast you want to build that. Now, how does organic content help you get members? It helps you get members because it builds trust and it builds a little bit of fame. Think about your favorite content creators and the people that you watch on a regular basis. If they said, hey, I'm starting a community, or hey, you're invited to join me on this platform like Skool, you would love to just be in the vicinity of them. And I think a lot of times we get in our own heads and we think, well, I'm not famous. I'm not worth following. Nobody's going to listen to me. But instead of thinking it that way, I'd rather you think no one wants to listen to me yet. Because the truth is, if you want to build something, if you want to grow, if you want to make Skool part of your life, then you have to build a point of view that people will want to follow. But you can only start to do that when you actually start to produce the content and try to say the words that are just in your head all day, every day. There's a common study right now that shows that it takes about 7 hours of content for someone to buy a product from you. And you can only get to that 7 hours of content if you have 7 hours or more of content for them to consume. And when they consume your content, they start to know you and they're no longer cold traffic. They're warm, they're engaged, and they're invested. So to me, organic content is non-negotiable. You have to set up and consistently produce organic content. But that doesn't mean that you have to chase every tactic for organic content. And it's certainly not the fastest way that you're going to grow your Skool community. Unless you're already starting with an audience, it takes a long time to build organic content that's going to build your Skool community up. But what's really great about organic content is that it's free. It just costs an internet connection and whatever device that you need to create the content on. And so if you're low on funds and you don't have a budget to put into your marketing for getting new Skool community members, organic content is a great long-term strategy. But just expect that your Skool community is going to take longer to grow if you only produce organic content. So bucket number 2 or strategy number 2 of how to grow your Skool community is paid ads. So paid ads are your speed bucket. This is how you're going to grow your Skool community really, really fast. In fact, I recently started using paid ads for my community and I've grown over 135 members in the last 30 days. The thing that I love as a marketer is that AI and these channels have gotten so good that they do a really great job of putting your ad in front of the right person. The targeting for paid ads is off the charts these days. You may have seen the ads for Skool that say something like, if you're a pickleball coach, or if you're a basketball coach, or if you paint, we want you on Skool. Well, meta targeting and AI have gotten so good that they know exactly who to put those ads in front of. And so what you're actually paying for is that targeting. You're paying so that your ad goes in front of the right person at the right time, which is why paid ads can work so well if you can do them. Now, if you're not comfortable with paid ads, if you don't have the skills to do it or the money to hire someone else to do it or the budget to kind of test for a certain period of time, then you probably don't want to do paid ads. Instead, you may want to focus on bucket number 3, partnerships and word of mouth. So some of the highest quality traffic you can get is word of mouth traffic. Think about it this way. If you saw an ad for a product versus one of your friends telling you about the product, which one are you more likely to purchase? Probably the product that your friend told you about. And so when you have other people talking about your school community and telling them how great it is and why you need to follow this person, they're so much more likely to actually enter your community and then be a quality member inside that community because they already have someone that they know. And so when you get an opportunity to either speak on someone's podcast or present inside another community that's similar to yours, you should take that opportunity, because one really good webinar could bring you 20, 30, 50, 100 new members and create momentum and that word of mouth and affiliation that you just can't really pay for. Think of it like leveraging someone else's audience. That's essentially what you're doing. You're making an appearance into a group that, let's say, has 1,000 members in it. And it gives you an opportunity to speak in front of an audience that you otherwise wouldn't get to speak in front of. And it's a dedicated audience because those people are choosing to be inside that school community. And so if you're ever wondering, how can I grow my school community? How can I get the word out more about what I'm trying to do? Look around and join other school communities. Build relationships with those school community owners, and then offer yourself up as a service or some value, or create content for that community owner and see if there's a chance that you can get your message in front of their people. In return, you may have to provide some affiliate money or a chance for them to get some kind of kickback on whatever program you're offering. Because the nature of this type of strategy, it could take a long time, but what you'll see are spikes in your growth of your community, because there might be a period of time when you're not speaking in front of an audience. And so you're kind of just steadily rising. But then when you speak in front of an audience or you get your content in front of another group, you may have a nice little spike that gets you growth over time. But of course, the key part of building a good partnership is building a relationship. And so when you enter a school community that you notice that you may want to partner with at some point, but we want to be smart and strategic about the partnerships we do make. So one of the examples that we've done with this is we've partnered with strength and conditioning coaches for Savvy Basketball. We're probably not going to bring in other basketball coaches or people who could be a competitor of ours, but we can bring in people that will strengthen our coaches' programs themselves. So 1 month we did a strength and conditioning program where we literally brought in an Olympic strength and conditioning coach, and we helped them build a program for our members and made them available to our members for those 30 days. And so now we move on to the 4th bucket. Activities. Now, this is the bucket that most people don't even think about. You can think of activities as things you physically do in order to grow your school community. This can be direct outreach. It can be text, DMs, personal invites. When Sam often talks about, he says, invite 3 of your friends to just get going. But then what happens? We kind of forget that that's a way to grow our school community, and we just kind of sit there and think like, why is nobody joining our school community? Well, it's probably because you never talk about it and you never invite people to actually join it. Think about it this way. Most people aren't going to go to a party they're not invited to. And most people, when they are invited to a party, are going to show up. But you have to be the one to send that invite. If you do clinics in real life, or if you do some type of live speaking, those are great opportunities for you to talk about your school community and position yourself as a way to keep the conversation going beyond whatever that event is. Live events are a fantastic way to grow your school community. Even though they're in real life, you can invite people back to your house, to your school community, and keep the conversation going. And since they're at your event or they're at something where they heard you speak or present, they're already going to know that you're an expert. So this is content in real life, and they've built some trust with you. They understand you, and they want to see what else you got going on. Schoolers is also an opportunity for you to do activities to get people to your community. So my first 150 members for Great Community Leaders was built completely on posting in Schoolers and replying to people's posts in Schoolers. Replies to people's questions and some of the problems that they had actually got me more members than making my own posts. And so if you're really stuck and you just have no clue how to get people into your school community, go on to Schoolers, look for people who are in your target demographic, and just offer up some help. Don't try to convince them to come back to your community. Instead, trust that if you offer some solid advice and give them something that actually improves what they're trying to do, they're going to click on your profile, they're going to see what you got going on, and they're going to join your community because they want to continue that relationship. And so Schoolers is probably the most underrated way to grow your school community, especially if your ideal demographic are people on Skool already. It's also a free channel. It's probably the highest quality member that you can get anywhere else because they already understand the platform, they already understand how everything works, and they know that they need to be active inside the community if they want to get the most out of it. Now, the key with Schoolers is no pitching, no selling. You're just there to help them, to generously give back to the community. There's a good chance that if you've ever posted a question or needed some answers on Skool, you've gone to Schoolers to get those answers and other people have responded to you. If your target demographic is other people on Skool, then Schoolers is the number one place where you should be spending most of your time, and you should be creating content by simply replying to people's messages. So again, the only 4 ways to get new members into your Skool community is through organic content, paid ads, partnerships or word of mouth, or activities. Everything you do, all the tactics in the world fit into one of those 4 buckets. Now, how do you decide which bucket you should fill first? The truth is, you should fill all the buckets, but you can only focus on one at a time. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of shallow buckets, and these aren't just regular buckets. These buckets have holes in them, and the size of the hole could depend on the tactic itself. For us, with Pickleball Skool and Savvy Basketball, we try to fill a new bucket or adopt a new tactic every 90 days. Usually 1 per quarter is enough time to help us figure it out and then kind of maximize the results that we're getting from it. And then once we fill that bucket or feel like it's in a good place, we can move on to another bucket or another tactic inside the same bucket and start filling it that way. So the question becomes, which bucket do you fill first? And honestly, the answer is going to be different for everyone. It depends on your situation, your resources, the time you have available, your budget, and how fast you need to make money from your community. But here's the thing, you're not just choosing the best bucket, you're choosing the pain that you can tolerate the most. Because each one of these buckets has its strengths and it has its pains. If you're willing to grow slowly, then organic content and activities are the way to go. If you'd rather spend money fast and you're willing to deal with higher churn than maybe you would with those other buckets, then you want to do paid ads. And if you want to go the relationship route or the partnership route, and instead of focusing on ads or marketing and providing value in other people's communities, well, that takes time too, because you have to build those relationships first. There is no pain-free path. Instead, it's about choosing the pain that you're willing to accept and tolerate over time. Now, a few questions you can ask yourself to get really tactical with this and really understand which bucket you should fill first. And the first question is, how much time can you realistically commit to per week? I've spoken to some community owners who are like, hey, I have a job, I go to school, I have about 5 hours a week to grow my Skool community. What should I do? The truth is, no matter what you do, you're not going to grow very fast. But what you can do is look at it on a longer timeline and just understand and accept that it's going to take you longer to grow your Skool community than someone who has 25 hours a week to commit to growing their Skool community. You don't want to be doing TikTok. You don't want to be doing Instagram. You don't want to be doing dabbling in YouTube. Instead, you want to focus on one thing and start to do it really well and let the compounding results actually happen over time. Of course, just because you have more time doesn't mean you should scatter your efforts either. Deeper is always going to be a better strategy than shallow, pretty much across the board. The second question you need to ask yourself is, how much money do you have to invest in your growth? If you have the money to invest and you want to grow faster, paid ads could be the way to go. But that doesn't mean you just want to burn money. Instead, you want to develop the skills or hire someone who already has the skills so that you can grow more efficiently and make sure that every dollar spent is worth it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of unqualified members who shouldn't be in your community to begin with, and then you're going to be left wondering, why is everyone leaving and why is nobody paying me? Of course, if you have no budget, then you don't even want to think about paid ads until much further down the line when you're actually making some money from your Skool community. The third question is, do you already have an audience outside of Skool? If you have a social following, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, how likely are you able to convert those audience members into Skool community subscribers? This is where being very strategic in the organic content you create is super important, because if you're just creating weird cat videos, you're probably not going to get a lot of people into your community that are going to pay you $97 a month to teach them marketing. And when we think about organic content, we want to think about what's the content that's actually going to get people into my community that I want to be there and that can eventually pay me over time. So question number 4 is, how fast do you need to make money from this? If you need to make money fast, then you need to offer up something that people find really valuable. The things that people find most valuable are things that are going to make them money. And so if you can teach someone else how to make money, you can monetize that pretty quickly. But if you're just teaching someone how to improve a hobby, or if it's more focused on self-care, that's going to be harder to monetize right away. So when we're thinking about starting a Skool community or continuing to grow a Skool community, we have to think about how much runway do we have to grow that community if I make nothing over a long period of time. So really, there are only 4 profitable niches in the world. It's health, wealth, relationships, and the fourth one is helping people overcome injury. So if you're not in one of those 4, it's going to be harder for you to make money on Skool. But by understanding that, at least it gives you an idea of which strategy, which bucket you should start to fill first. If you know that your niche is probably not going to make a lot of money, then you probably don't want to do paid ads. And instead, you want to focus on the activities that don't cost anything to do. And just understand that it's going to take you 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half in order to get a big enough community that you can actually start monetizing from. So hopefully by understanding these 4 strategies, you can start to grow your Skool community in a way that makes sense for you, for your goals, for your budget, for your time, for the resources that you have available. And you can start to get a better picture of how long it's going to take for you to grow your Skool community to a certain point and to eventually monetize that community. Don't waste your time jumping from tactic to tactic, and don't just try things because someone else posted that it worked for them, because it might not make sense for you and what you're trying to do. And I want to leave you with this last bit of advice. So the only way to guarantee that you're going to fail is that you quit. And so if you try one strategy or one tactic and it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that Skool doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you don't work. Instead, it just meant that at that time, that didn't work for you for some reason. And so I want to encourage you to keep on going, to keep growing your Skool community. Even if it's impossible for you to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I want you to focus on growing your Skool community and sticking with it as long as physically possible, because the only way to truly fail is to quit. So my question to you is, which bucket are you going to fill first? And which bucket are you going to focus on over the next 90 days? Drop a comment 1, 2, 3, or 4, and give me a little bit about your community and what you're trying to accomplish. And I'd love to respond and connect further with you. And if you're at the very beginning stages of your Skool community career and you don't even know where to start, join great community leaders and check out our classroom and go to 30 Days to Paid. Not only does it help you learn how to earn your first dollar in Skool, but it actually helps you define your niche, your ideal customer, and provide you the foundation that you need in order to grow your Skool community into something you can be proud of. I offer 30 Days to Paid absolutely free. And if you don't want to join my Skool community, that's totally fine. There are a lot of great Skool communities out there, and I'm sure you can find the one that's right for you. And if you want to know how that pickleball school became #1 on the entire platform, check out this video here, and you can learn all about the things we've done to grow our Skool community to over 1,400 members and over $40,000 in monthly recurring revenue. See you next time.